Bonjour. Welcome to Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
You didn't have to go with the accent. That wasn't needed. On this segment, we are doing a return segment. One we came up with a couple weeks ago. It is the Great Debate.
The Great Debate.
Everybody get excited. We are going to debate some of the most controversial bands of all time. People love these bands or they hate these bands, and we're going to debate
love
which...
to hate them.
Love to hate them.
Hate to love them.
We're going to debate which is the better band. We are talking about Nickleback and Creed. Creed will be represented by Jeffrey. He has to fight tooth and nail to prove that Creed is the better band.
Fight tooth and nail.
That is it. He will dig through the human clay. Michael over here is covering Nickleback, and he will do the same, fight to the end of the Get Rolling van to prove who is the better band in the situation. This is Nickleback versus Creed, everybody. Get ready. Creed formed in 1994 down in Florida.
In the year of our Lord, 1994.
Thank you.
In the year of our Lord.
Nazareth, Florida.
Creed came in hot, and then we have Nickleback over here forming a year earlier over in Alberta, Canada. Our
Canada.
neighbors to the north, and they both pushed in a form of post-grunge that took over in a lot of ways. Nickleback came a little later with their full platinum dominance, but both of these bands are multi-platinum bands. They've sold so many records. Let's get into it. We're going to start. Who has the better band name? We are going to start today with Michael.
Well, Nickelback is just one of those bands that I don't really know what their band name is going for, but I like it. It looks good.
I know
what it's for.
I know what it's for. Yeah. Chad Kroeger worked at a Starbucks back in the day.
Mike Kroeger.
Mike Kroeger, sorry, not Chad. Mike, the man who does not have a Wikipedia page. And it's true. And he worked at Starbucks, and he would give people his change, and he would always say, "Here is your Nickleback."
Yeah.
And that is where
what
they
a
got
cool
their
band name origin.
So cool. Mike couldn't even remember where it came from, even though I know he.
No. Now that you say that, I know. I remember.
Of course,
there's an empty defense over here.
Yeah,
this
sorry.
This is an empty defense. Cool. He comes in hollow. Jeffrey, Creed, is it the better band name?
It is the superior band name. Creed is defined as a system of religious belief, of faith, a set of aims which guide someone's actions.
Oh, he pulled out the definition.
Merriam-Webster defines Creed as the number one most hated band of the 1990s.
So
Creed is a great band name. I love one-syllable band names.
Yeah.
5 letters, fits on a shirt, fits on a Florida license plate.
And it goes with them.
It goes with them.
Religious overtones.
Our Lord and Savior, Scott Stapp. He lives and dies by his beliefs.
Now, did you see that Creed's band name, they were coming up with a band, they were called Naked Toddler. And the drummer was like, I was in a band called something else Creed. And they were like, let's just go with Creed.
Yes. It's a better to shorten their name from whatever Creed to just simply Creed than Nickleback, who started out as a cover band entitled Village Idiot. And then continued to have a Starbucks quote as their band name.
Listen, coffee's cool, man. Coffee's cool. You get your Nickelback, now you got some loose change. Save it up, buy a new coffee.
Loose change. That's going to be Mike's new band.
Oh, good God.
Okay.
You got me on that. All right. You got me on that one.
Moving on to the second debate topic here.
Yes.
We have two bands who were iconic in their styles. And we are going to debate here who has the better overall outfit choice styles for the bands. And really, we're going to get down to who has better hairstyle. Nickelback's Mike
Chad Kroeger.
Sorry, now I get them all confused. Chad Kroeger with his ramen noodle-like hair. And
the poodle noodles.
Scott Stapp, who has a lovely pompadour at some point. It's kind of, or not pompadour, but a very...
well, he had the bob thing going
Lord
on.
Farquaad.
Yeah,
Lord Farquaad a little bit is what I'm kind of saying.
The Rachel.
The
greasy Rachel.
Yes.
So these bands, the look is pretty similar.
It is,
Are you a white mid-20s guy who likes wearing distressed bootcut jeans, who likes wearing billowy, silken maroon shirts.
I wear straight fit now.
Who wears chunky metal necklaces. Maybe a tight goatee with spiky hair.
No mustache, though.
No mustache.
Just the goat.
You need just the goat. Then you could fit in. Do you love wearing thick leather bracelets? You could be a member of either of these bands. The one thing that really splits the two is Scott Stapp has the iconic split in the center, Jesus, greased out hair, and he had the tight white tank.
Yeah.
Which looked amazing when you're doing the Jesus pose, when you're singing about your arms being wide open. You show off the guns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an iconic look.
See, I don't know. I disagree because I think that Chad Kroeger single-handedly is responsible for the success of the Men's Warehouse gene, which is basically the bootcut gene with the bedazzled crosses on the back pockets.
The pockets. His pocket game was.
Michael bringing out the big guns here with the
real.
jean,
Let's be real. You're
jean
gonna like
fashion.
the way you look. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And then the ramen noodle hair. Listen, man, when you think about rock and roll and metal, it's big hair. You gotta have big hair, and he had huge hair. Was it tampered with? Maybe because now he's sporting the shorter hair, and it's like it's clearly not these crazy tight curls. So maybe he was getting perms. I'm not really sure, but
it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. If you remember, were you really there?
2008
Isn't
was
that what they
still
say?
prime noodle hair.
It was still prime noodle hair. I don't know. I'm team ramen noodle hair, man. I like it. I think it's very distinguished. Not distinguished. Well, maybe distinguished. It's a very iconic look. You know what I mean? Like you see that hair, you know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
When you have the long, flowy hair, it's like this could be any schlub. This could be any Floridian guy. You see that hair, you're like, for ramen noodle hair, we're in for a Canadian escapade.
I love it. I love it. So
true.
moving on here, we talked about how they dress fashion-wise. Let's talk about band logos and album artwork. So I know Creed has a bit of a shorter career, so we don't have as many albums to dig through. But what do we think here, Michael? Who's got the better album art? How do you feel Nickleback?
I feel like Nickelback, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not trying to do some friendly fire here, but, maybe not the most creative. Who's to say, really? For me, notable mentions, you gotta love the Silver Side Up. You gotta love the Silver Side Up because it's like
Is that the crying eye?
the crying eye, but it's like crying silver.
Okay.
Which is
It looks like a reptile, maybe?
it's sort of. It's like a
okay.
weird colored skin. That
Crocodile tears.
Perhaps they're
Yeah,
jaundice. I don't
lizard
really know what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel like
But it's the silver teardrop,
Sure.
which I enjoy. I find that the album artwork tends to kind of be like interpretive in that sense. You look at the album like The Long Road, which is like a bridge, and it looks like it's maybe painted in pastels, which I think is oil-based paint, perhaps. All the right reasons, which is like a sort of classic
A Van
American
Gogh.
car, kind of coming down the road. Feed the
Oh,
Machine-
whoa. A classic Canadian car. Okay.
Oh, sorry. It's a Corvette. Let's be real. We got to call it what it is. It's a Corvette. Feed the Machine. Very interesting. What appears to be this sort of politician who's got sort of wires coming out of his back, which is Feed the Machine. This sort of thing.
How do
no
we
fixed
feel-
address. The sun kind of peering
so
over
we
the
kind of
globe.
have like photorealistic album artwork,
Sure.
which is like it's cool, man. It's a feel. The Nickelback logo, there's not really a logo. It's like the Beatles have the
there-
Drop T logo. It's like a solid impact font.
It is sort of like a solid impact font. It maybe is reminiscent of what's the Avatar font? I can't remember the name of it.
Papyrus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They have one logo that is sort of reminiscent of
I feel
Papyrus.
like their
They have
font
another one that
is reminiscent of the Get in the Garage font, really.
Oh yeah, it is actually
Well,
pretty
it
reminiscent.
really
of
is.
the
I feel like
well,
we're-
one of them is. The other one, yeah.
Spoiler alert, we've been
which-
using Nickelback font.
Which is basically like, you know how like when you would cut letters out of paper, but you would also leave like those thin strips in them so that way the letter didn't get like all,
That's
and then
a-
you'd
yeah.
spray paint it onto something.
I'm
Is it not the
saying-
most creative? Maybe not, but it's a clean logo.
I'm going double thumbs down on another
You're
great
supposed
logo.
to stay non-biased.
Yeah,
What are you doing? You're the moderator.
You have a crooked judge
I
here.
moderated that. I don't like your arguments, Jeffrey. Does Creed have the better logos? We will hope so.
Creed's logo is similarly a very nondescript but uniform type of font. I believe they use the same font on all
Also
their albums.
similar to the Avatar font.
Right. It is very
Papyrus.
Middle Eastern infused.
Yeah, it's like Florida's the Middle East of the States.
As far as the album artwork, the band, I believe, has put out 4 studio albums, and I think you have iconic covers all 4. My Own Prison, it's a shirtless man crouched in the corner next to a barn, maybe about to get his ass whooped. The second album, Human Clay, you have like a CGI clay zombie emerging from the ground, holding a pocket watch.
Time is of the essence.
Weathered, I think, is the greatest album cover. Weathered is like artwork. It looks like it was designed by the man who did the computer game Myst from the mid-90s. And it features a tree where it has the 3 band members like souls trapped in the tree. It is haunting and very evocative.
It's the tree in the Garden of Eden.
And their 4th album is like, it looks like kind of like a Roman gold clasp, like Pandora bracelet with a bunch of charms hanging from it. I'm not quite sure. I don't even know the name of that album because who gives a shit?
It's called Full Circle.
But I'm gonna stick with
respect.
Weathered and Human Clay, especially, are like iconically so bad they're good.
Yeah.
Like computer animation, like it's 1999 to 2002. Like CGI sucks.
Weathered looks like AI art. If you were like make a Creed album cover, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
To me. I am also of. I think Jeffrey takes that round as well. I'm gonna say the
David versus Goliath.
The
here.
human Clay is.
I will concede
is
that
iconic.
the 2 most popular, as far as I know, Nickelback albums. There isn't there one called Dark Horse?
Yes, there is Dark Horse, which is
Okay, so Dark Horse, Long Road Home, if that's the name, or Long Way Home, and Silver Side Up all have similarly so bad they're good computer graphic type of artwork.
Yeah, and Dark Horse is that sort of it's like it looks like a horseshoe belt buckle.
Yes.
I'm sure they had many on their stage show.
Yes, indeed.
Get Rollin' gets a little weird.
Oh, and Get Rollin' though. Who could forget
we
that classic?
didn't even say that, but
Yeah.
moving on. 2 iconic vocalists here. Both
Best
have
of the
their
best.
own essence in
Yeah.
the way that they sing. And let's get into it straight off here. Jeffrey, start us off.
So both iconic, recognizable voices, and you have Scott Stapp, who comes from the Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam's School of Singing, which is everything is in your mouth and in your mumbly lips. And then you have Chad Kroeger, who is more from the James Hetfield of Metallica School of Singing, where everything is the throat and distorting and growling. And to me, it comes down to, like, I would rather misunderstand what you're saying than be yelled at. So that's why I always preferred Scott Stapp's voice to Chad Kroeger's. Because Chad Kroeger, I'm like, yo, you're singing about like strippers and drinking, and you're screaming at me, man. Like,
see, I'm gonna honor Nickelback in the way of saying I like a little gruffness, I like a little rough around the edges, you know. Lyrical content, perhaps a little bit questionable, but I like the gruff. It's rock and roll, man. It's, you know, it's not meant to be this soothing thing. It's supposed to be grabbing you by your shirt collar and screaming lyrics into your face. And I feel like Nickelback, I feel like Chad Kroeger gives you a bit of gruff. He gives you a little bit. And you know, Scott Stapp, too, you know, fine and dandy and all that, but, you know, he sounds like he's just got a mouthful of marshmallows all the time. And I'm just kind of like, enunciate, Scott. Enunciate, for crying out loud.
He is constantly taking communion.
He's the poor man's Eddie Vedder, is what it is. It's like, I'm like, who's ripping off?
The poor man's Eddie Vedder over here. I like it. I like it. Those are fighting words. I also like Nickelback's vocal use of alliteration. Keys, knees, jeans, please.
Which is the James Hetfield in him.
Yes, there's a lot of
Dr. Seuss rhyming.
I'm here for the Dr. Seuss rhyming. I like it.
I only want you to sing about biblical imagery, okay?
No, shotgun beers and rhyme bees, knees, and trees. Do a keg stand and tell me about all the ladies in the audience dancing provocatively.
This song's about my daughter's graduation. Okay. Now, let's get into a little bit of like the details about who these bands are. So, Creed obviously hit the roadblock in probably about like 2005 and like broke up from there. Nickelback has had a really long career and has really overcome and become like a classic kind of like arena rock band that you can go see if they go tour. Still very big to this day. So let's go over the benefits of having the short career versus the long career. Do you think short in was the way to go, Jeffrey? Or do you think long Nickelback was the way to go? Mike, let's start off.
Well, it comes down to a question. Would you rather burn out or fade away?
Oh, here we go.
The classic.
And Creed, I mean, they had 2 multi-platinum albums. They had a diamond, which is 10 million sales in Human Clay. And then Scott Stapp had disagreements with their bass player, supposedly, and the bass player left the band. They continued as a trio to make one more album. Split up, lots of personal turmoil, Scott Stapp, alcohol problems, personal issue problems. The other 3 members went on to form Alter Bridge, have another successful millions of sales. Then Creed did the it's been 8 years, let's reunite and do another 3 years of tour, put out one album. But I think they hit it so big, 10 million on a single album is a lot. And it kind of was a little bit more standard in 1999 and 2000. But if you look at the charts, that band was one of few acts to sell 10 million of a copy. Whereas Nickelback, yeah, they've been around for 30 years. But me personally, I can't name more than 3, 4 Nickelback albums. They've probably put out 14. I can't name more than 3 or 4 Nickelback songs. Then again, I'm not a heavy listener to Nickelback. But I think the decade of, just as another great band, the Beatles, if I can make a comparison.
Oh, please do.
Creed was the Beatles of
The
our
Beatles of the
generation.
90s.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
They were at least the Doors.
Oasis who?
Let's be real.
So
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I am how you were talking about the Stones in the last episode that we did this, where it's rock and roll till you die, and Nickelback is still doing it, and they're selling out, and they did hit diamond with All the Right Reasons. They did in the United States anyway. They've gone multiple times platinum on several other albums. I think that in hindsight, you've got really 2 really big landmark albums with Silver Side Up and All the Right Reasons. Those were the big Nickelback records, especially All the Right Reasons, because that one 2005, I remember I was really listening to it quite a bit when I was in high school, and it's I think that they have kind of Nickelback, the elephant in the room, which was Nickelback sucks, Nickelback sucks, Nickelback sucks. I feel like they've really overcome that sort of adversity towards them and being sort of labeled as this shitty band that everybody kind of made fun of and all kind of crapped on, and they came out the other side, and they're still releasing music. They released Get Rollin' in 2022. I think that has something to say to the testament of the band in that way, where it's they kind of are still doing the thing despite all of those sort of negative things that happened to them. So, I give them credit for keeping on.
Well, I'll concede. I believe in my research that Nickelback might be the best-selling band from Canada in history. I believe that. I think I saw something that they were the best-selling band of the 2000s decade.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it, because you figure Silver Side Up came out in 2001. All the Right Reasons was 2005, so that carries. You figure 2001 to 2005 and 2005 up until the 2010s. And then Dark Horse came out in 2008 as well. So that kind of it wasn't, I don't think it was as big as All the Right Reasons, but it gave them that last little bump in the last 2 years of the 2000s.
And big radio hits on Dark Horse as well, at least rock radio.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about, Jeffrey said biggest selling band in Canada. Let's talk about the Nickelback Canada versus the Creed, being from Florida, USA. Beef. Let's talk about it. So it's an American band versus a Canadian band.
Hey.
Let's get down.
Yeah, so I'll start. Look, I'm an American, so naturally I salute the red, white, and blue. There's no there's no question as to where my loyalties lie. It's with the great U.S. of A. That being said, Canada has given us some great artists. We've got Rush. We've got Celine Dion. We've got a whole bunch of great Canadian artists.
Neil Young, man.
Neil Young. Thank you, Luke.
Bryan Adams.
Thank you. Good. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. And Nickelback. Nickelback is another one of those bands that's no exception. And really, I think that granted, Nickelback is clearly a very huge Canadian band. Anytime you look at sort of the charts and the certifications of each album, the USA is up there as far as numbers, how they do, but obviously Canada is most of the time exponentially much bigger and all that. But I think, in this instance, I think Canada wins, man. I think Canada wins.
Do you think they represent Canada well?
Well, I don't really know.
Canadians, do Creed represent you? That's a question.
Nickelback.
Yes, Nickelback.
Yes,
I don't know. I think Canada has this sort of stereotype that everyone is very friendly, and I don't know that Nickelback gives off friendly vibes.
I think they kind of do. I think they have that it's like sleazy vibe. But I think it's friendly. It's a friendly sleaze.
It's a friendly sleaze.
And they are from, I believe, Alberta. So they are from the Midwest conservative country cowboy section of Canada.
Right.
So even though they are Canadian, they seem extremely American.
Right.
Well.
I think that's what it is for me. They don't really seem as Canadian as say Rush.
Absolutely.
Canadian, I'm just like, oh no, those are definitely they're Canadian folks. So
you're going Canadians as passable Americans.
I'll say Canadians I'll give them an honorary America card. Put it that way.
Ooh, okay. They get their honorary America card. They eat at Applebee's for free once a year. Jeffrey, Creed, being from the dirty Florida water. Let's talk about
how dare you talk about Canada? This week was Memorial Day. Have some respect.
Oh, get out of here.
Creed from Florida. What is more American than Florida? Okay? Listen. Red, white, and blue. These colors don't run. This creed don't run.
This creed don't run.
USA. USA.
Let me just tell you right now. You want my opinion of Creed? They are the Florida man of the music industry.
And there you go.
They are.
That
proudly.
That was that argument summed up, Jeffrey. What a beautiful statement.
A true patriot.
I don't think President Obama could have spoken better himself if he was here. I'm taken aback. So let's get down to the music of these bands. Who's got the more iconic songs? Creed's got a little bit of deficit, less albums, but let's get into it. Jeffrey, does Creed have the better songs?
Creed has so many hits, man. Can you take me higher? Huge song. How about this opening line? Well, I just heard. Okay? And you know the rest of the song. It's iconic.
Yeah.
It is the somebody once told me. It's the same thing with Arms Wide Open. My Sacrifice. Dark. Early. But that's Creed. Creed is like a band that's like, let's sing about the glory of life, but also my suicidal tendencies and depression. My Own Prison. Excellent. One Last Breath. Come on. These are hits. These are sad, angry, rock pop hit songs. Classics.
I like this. Michael.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that, to Jeffrey's point, you could do the same thing with Nickelback, man. Look at this photograph. Come on, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Huge hits from Nickelback. And I think that Nickelback, where Creed, Creed for me is a little too heavy. It's a little too dark. It's a little too grim. It's a little too serious sometimes. Nickelback, in my opinion, gives you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You have something like Photograph, which is this sort of nostalgic, oh my God, we've grown up, and what happened, blah, 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 blah. And then you have How You Remind Me, and then you have songs like Rockstar, which is a little bit more sort of tongue-in-cheek, I want to...
Hey, Billy Gibbons sings background on that.
I did not know that.
And that tongue wasn't Justin Cheek, okay?
Oh, thank you. But that's what I'm saying. I think they are equally as iconic of songs, and where, like I said, Creed, a little heavy on the Christianity. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. And I wouldn't say devout or practicing really in my daily life, but very, very spiritual, and I don't mind that. But when I think of rock band, I want a little sleaze, I want a little cheese, and then I want a little, it's like that thing where it's like, give me a ballad, give me a song about drinking, give me a song about hot dancing moms, and then give me a song about your high school lost love.
I like the pants around your knees.
We have cheese and sleaze versus praying on your knees. Two very different.
You decide. You decide.
All right. So, getting down, We've gone through it with these bands. We've talked it all. Let's get down to where these two bands really get along and why we are really putting them together to verse each other. Who's got the better meme status at this point? The bands have both been thrown through the ringer with the hate, and the hate has turned into memes that make us laugh and have fun, and I think have both turned the corner at this point where we all admit that we like Creed and we like Nickelback a little bit. So at this point, who's got the better meme status? Jeffrey.
So some great memes provided by Creed. There is the clip of the song One Last Breath, which is, hold me now, I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking. You have that with like a monkey listening to it with headphones and just like staring off into the distance meditatively. You have the sunflower being in the wind and rainstorm with the face mouthing those words. Classic. I've seen the gif of when Scott Stapp is in the Christ pose and he falls to crowd surf from the Higher video, and it's like always a gif that's put with like celebrating some minor stupid shit in your life. I've seen the with arms wide open gif where it's the zoom in on a camera of him standing on the edge of the cliff, again celebrating some mundane bullshit, like when you get to the grocery store and there's a parking space up close, like stupid shit like that. Creed is very much like such a self-serious band, such a like we're the thinking man's post-grunge band, and it's used for great comedy of like, this is a band, you can't take any of this shit seriously. This is just the mundanity of life.
We have to throw in before we leave the Creed meme status, the video that you two have made me watch so many times.
Oh, the Marlins theme song for the MLB's Miami Marlins, sung by Scott Stapp, which is check it out. It is poetic.
I used to
awful.
play it. I used to play it after every podcast recording for like a couple months straight.
So I guess that is another meme in the meme category, because who would hire Scott Stapp to sing a song about baseball and double play?
It sounds exactly. It sounds exactly like
how you imagine it would.
Mike knows the whole thing.
I know. Let's play ball. It's game
true.
day.
That is true.
Nickelback as the better meme.
So Nickelback, I feel like Nickelback's maybe like, as far as the meme status goes, it's not necessarily like making fun of the band. Where Creed is sort of like using Creed as the vehicle to make a funny point. Nickelback memes are very clearly the butt of the joke. The look at this photograph, where it's like a humiliating photograph, where it's look at this photograph, and it just like ambiently just like sits on a photograph. The look at this fucking cat, where it's like some cat that's like grooming itself on a bed or something like that. There's other ones of like, say, Bernie Sanders standing there holding a sign that says Trump likes Nickelback. There's another one that I actually saw recently, and I pulled it up. It says scientists find cure for COVID-19. They just played it Nickelback until it finally killed itself.
What about the endless, this thing looks like Chad Kroger's hair?
Yeah, right.
You have like the ramen noodles, and you have like spaghetti, and then you have like,
it's like that thing where it's
noodles.
like confirm that you're not a robot, select all the images, that's Chad Kroger's hair, and it's like the ramen noodles and stuff like that. But yeah, I think with Nickelback, it's clearly a much more like overtly like, Nickelback sucks, so let me make a meme about it.
Do you think it's a better meme campaign?
I don't know if I would necessarily call it a meme campaign, but I think that I don't know.
It's definitely a meme campaign. Look at this photograph. It's such a meme.
The classic is, look at this graph.
He's like holding the graph.
It's just excellent. It's so bad, Sonny. It's so perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. I think we may be at a stalemate.
Well, there's another meme song, not necessarily Nickelback, but it's Chad Kroger. You have the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack song, Hero, which is an excellent meme-worthy music video because it's Chad Kroger like standing on a building like he's Spider-Man, and it's just like so ridiculous.
So I don't know. I think this one's a close one. I don't know. We might have to call this a stalemate because they have just great great
Yeah.
because that flower singing Creed in the wind is like one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my life, and it's like it's so.
I don't
it's
know.
So
I
good.
thought I was on like more of like the Creed meme side, but like look at this photograph meme is like
It's endless.
so classic. And,
Yeah.
like, look at this fucking draft. I've seen so many
Yeah.
iterations of it.
That one specifically blew up for like 3 or 4 months straight. nonstop.
Yeah, remember your
Everywhere.
feed, like your Instagram feed was just all that weird
Yeah.
Nickelback meme where it was look at this fucking something, So
I
so
love
I
it.
don't know.
Also, before
tough
we
call.
leave, there was also the Facebook pages with like the get this many likes because Nickelback or Creed sucks. I don't know if you, or like get this pickle to get 1 million likes before Nickelback or some shit. Those were also very popular in the early Facebook days and of the major time of hating Nickelback and Creed.
Yeah.
So rounding the corner of it, we've gone through it. Who do we earnestly think is the better band, guys? Let's like for real.
Listen,
If we're being honest,
Like
If we're being honest,
dropping the cards here. Like
this
we
is
fought.
celebrity death match. They both stab each other in the heart with swords.
They
Like,
both die,
This
that's it.
is too close to call for me because I don't go out of my way to listen to either of these bands. However, when I put on the 5 songs I know by each, I am endlessly entertained. I enjoy them. They are super melodic, catchy, like, goddamn, get this melody out of my brain type
Yeah.
of hit songs. So I don't know, like, it's a draw for me. Honestly, it's you have the considered the worst band in the '90s against the considered the second worst band in the '90s. Like,
right.
yeah,
It's apples to apples.
yes.
Also of note too, like I feel like Creed had more of their Creed. I feel like was more critically accepted in their time. I mean, they did play Woodstock. They did play with the Doors. Like they had more of this like rock star moment where they were like, "Yep, that's the new rock band." Where I feel like where Nickelback really blew up afterwards, they were like, "We're done with this. This is, you know what I mean?"
I think it was Canadian bias.
You think so?
Yeah, because you got to think about how bad that pop culture was in the early 2000s, and I think people were like, "Ugh, look at these." Me included, me as 13 years old, going, "Ugh, look at these fucking Canadian jackasses trying to be American rock stars."
Okay, so it might be the bias because
I don't know.
I was thinking like Creed. I was looking at like the big pop culture moments, and Creed just for me has way more big like in the media moments where it was like
Creed playing the Super Bowl halftime show where some man actually took flight.
Yo, Creed played the Super Bowl halftime
this
show.
is what I'm talking about.
You never saw that?
I don't
And they're playing
remember
"Can
this.
You Take Me Higher?" and there's this
What?
guy running. There's this guy running, and he just goes whew, like this, and he just starts flying over
Yo,
the
I have
stage.
to find this.
Oh, we'll
Creed
watch it.
played the
We're
Super Bowl halftime
Yo,
show.
we're gonna watch this after.
So
afterwards.
that's what
Well-
I'm kind of saying. I think Creed had like the bigger pop bust moment, but like Nickelback is still chugging and making
Well,
millions.
it really is. It's so much like the Beatles versus the Stones because
Yeah,
there is only one band that's still rocking and still selling millions of albums.
yeah.
So I think ultimately, at the end of the day, that is the winner.
Nickelback.
Nickelback.
Oh, I think
I am conceding.
I think the Nickelback going
See-
longer wins a little bit there. I think Creed for me might win a little bit in these songs.
I will. So it's interesting that we would eventually switch sides because yes, if I had to choose between the two bands, I would actually pick Creed. I would actually pick Creed.
Wow. So
So here we go.
Look how far we've come. We
Wow.
found a common ground.
we've
What
fought
I
it.
just heard.
Creed, Nickelback, bringing people
Today.
together.
Oh, look at that.
Guys, we have gone through everything you could possibly talk about. We've argued Creed and Nickelback to death. Who do you like more?
Let us
Who do
know.
you think is the better band? Do you hate both of these bands? we kind of do too, but
Yeah.
we love them a little bit, like I
Yeah.
said. So
Guilty pleasure.
let us know. Let us know who you want us to debate next. We will do anything. We
Yes.
are game. We are fun. We are getting the garage.
We are getting the garage.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Share. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
I